fact that it's more visual and collaborative, and it's more of a modern way of working. So it's really all about, getting out those sticky notes and getting a diverse set of perspectives on each area of the change that you're trying to undertake.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Braden Kelley, author of Charting Change and Stoking Your Innovation Bonfire. Hi, Braden. Thanks for being with us today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Andy?
I'm good, thank you. Appreciate you taking some time. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so as you mentioned, I'm the author of a couple of books and a chapter in a third book called A Guide to Open Innovation and Crowdsourcing. And I also run a multiple author blog called Human-Centered Change and Innovation, which is at blogginginnovation.com is the short URL. And so I travel around the world speaking to audiences about innovation, organizational change, digital transformation, and future, and also write articles for a number of different publications, and also create tools. So that you mentioned Charting Change, my second book. In that book, I introduced a number of different tools, which have been expanded into the Change Planning Toolkit, which is more than 70 tools that can help people plan and execute organizational change and digital transformation.
Exciting. Get into the tools a little bit. Can you speak to some of the details of those?
Yes. So one of the things back at a previous company that I ran into is that when it comes to organizational change and especially the initial part, for a lot of people, what they run into is staring at a blank piece of paper, a project charter by themselves at a desk, and that's just not a very conducive way to plan a successful change initiative or a digital transformation. And so I started creating tools to help people with that, to help literally get everyone all on the same page for change. And so the central artifact is one of the key things that makes that happen, and it's called the Change Planning Canvas. And then around that, on your change planning wall, you have a series of other frameworks, methodologies, and worksheets that allow you to capture all of the key components for the change that you're about to undertake. But the most important thing is not by yourself, but visually, collaboratively, with a group of people that you pull together, ideally cross-functionally. And you can do it in a room. You can print everything out, create the change planning canvas as a poster, and then 11 by 17s for the other tools up around it. Or you can do it all virtually using a tool like Miro or Mural or even Microsoft Whiteboard.
Any particular industries or niche that seem to be served best by your tools, or is this an incredibly broad sort of approach?
It's definitely a broad approach. It's definitely targeted more at your larger organizations, not necessarily a solopreneur type operation, again, because then you're doing it by yourself, but more so for your mid-size and above organizations that are planning complex change initiatives or digital transformations to try to put their customer back at the center of everything that they do.
And are you generating revenue by licensing or subscriptions, or is it exclusively through speaker fees?
Yeah, so it's through licensing for people that want to do it themselves, or also training opportunities also exist for me to come on site and train and certify your organization and its people to teach the methodology and how to use the tools, and then to certify that people know how to use those tools.
Excellent. And what's the sweet spot in terms of size of company for you?
I think mid-size and above. So small businesses is probably tough, because then the team size is going to start to get small, and a lot of times people are just moving so fast and breaking things that oftentimes it's tough for them to step back and do some of the big picture planning type type things. A lot of people just sort of jump in. But obviously that leads to more rework. Obviously that leads to the big scary number that some people try to dispute, that 70% of change initiatives fail, which actually tends to be pretty accurate if you start to look at it in the context of not only the change context, but compare it into other things like new product launches and things like that. You'll see very similar numbers in those types of areas as well.
And what makes your approach stand out from, I assume there are competitors in your field who have put out concepts of change for companies as well. What makes your approach so effective?
Yeah, I think what helps it stand apart is the fact that it's more visual and collaborative, and it's more of a modern way of working. So it's really all about getting out those sticky notes and getting a diverse set of perspectives on each area of the change that you're trying to undertake. And then because of the way that you use the tools and you plan your approach, one of the key benefits is that it helps to, in addition to getting everyone literally on the same page, but as very sort of tangential to that is getting the buy-in and the agreement and the alignment around we're doing this. People have a common understanding of what you're doing, how you're going to go about it. They can see what the plan is. They can see where any gaps that might have been missed in a first attempt and be able to quickly fill those in. And so that's where it stands apart, is the ability to really build that buy-in, create that alignment, and create that momentum out of the gate as a result.
What are the biggest problems that you're solving for these customers?
You mean in terms of what kind of changes are people pursuing,
Well, I mean,
or what does the tools solve?
We're all talking about human beings. Humans tend to be resistant to change, right? So what are the biggest obstacles to moving forward once somebody's trying to implement your plan, and what sort of problems are you solving for them?
Yeah, so there's a number of different pieces of new thinking as that are part of the methodology, the human-centered change methodology. And so it includes things like the 8 change mindsets, which is helping you not think of all people as one, and really trying to dig into what the different motivations might be for getting people on board. And that allows you to take a segmented communications approach to try to pull in different people based on what their particular motivation might be. And so that can help you build that broader coalition and build that momentum early on by trying to speak to people in the language that resonates with them and the things that can turn them from a resistor to a supporter. And then there's also other thinking in the methodology that helps you sort of categorize the different levels of resistance and support that you might have. And one of the things that I like to highlight is that it's not about taking somebody from being a strong resistor and moving them all the way to being a strong supporter. If that's your focus, that will contribute to your failure. Even if you just move people from a passive resistor to neutral, or from neutral to a moderate supporter, those single category shifts can be very powerful, especially when you factor in the reality that it's kind of like a bell curve. And so if you can move the passive resistors to passive supporters, that's a huge chunk of people that you're moving. And so those are some things.
It makes complete sense to me, and it plays into my next question, which is, COVID has provided obstacles, challenges, and opportunities, but there's a lot of change in the air. There are so many people who've decided that whatever they were doing for a living didn't really mean anything to them, and they want to find something that does. So I would think this has played into your hand in the last couple of years in terms of people needing structure for change and looking for change. How have you been able to grow the business through COVID?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've seen is that there was a decline in in-person events and a rise in people being interested in how they can use virtual meetings and online tools to achieve some of the same objectives and not have to get on an airplane or pay for a bunch of travel costs to bring everybody together in one place to achieve a goal. And so there's been an increase in distributed work team type work where you're working with people from a number of different states or even a number of different countries, and utilizing online whiteboarding tools and things like that. Which that's where a methodology like mine really has a strength, is because everything was designed to be in a PDF format already. And so instead of printing it out and putting it up on a wall, you can paste it as a background and then put your sticky notes right over the top. So you have your template there in the background, and you're doing your collaboration right over the top, and in a guided way, rather than looking at a blank page again. And so that's where the approach that I took years ago as I was pulling this together was perfect. It's like, hey, that I had these kinds of tools, these online whiteboarding tools, as a distribution method, or a way that people could use the tools and the methodology in my mind, and had started to try to pursue partnerships with some of those tool makers back in the day. And then as everything became virtual, then that was very positive. I didn't have to redesign everything, because I'd already been thinking that way from the beginning.
Now, tell me about back in the day for a minute. What's your origin work-wise? What did you used to do before you branched out on your own?
Yeah, so I have done a number of different things. I've done primarily consulting. So I've been doing human-centered design for over, I think it's like 25 years now or something like that. And so, I started out in the technology industry. My humble beginnings were on the phone, answering technical support calls on all the Symantec products, whether it was Symantec antivirus for the Macintosh, or the other tools to utilities. And I went from that to building Symantec's first web-based technical support and customer service capabilities. And so we used design thinking before that was a thing, to pursue our design of the solution that people are going to interface with the company on. And from there, I went on and built all kinds of different workflow based tools for people, companies like the Gap and Banana Republic and others. And then went back and got my MBA to refocus my career in a more commercial direction. And then started doing online marketing and process improvement and a number of different business consulting disciplines. And then started to get into the innovation space back in 2008, I think it was.
Okay.
2006, I think, actually. And so that's how my first book, Stoking Your Innovation Bonfire, ended up coming about in 2010. Was because I'd already written a few hundred articles on innovation and done a lot of research in that area, across a number of different industries with a number of different innovation leaders. And that book is really focused on helping people identify and remove barriers to innovation. And then went back, took on a day job again, and did some internal digital transformation work. And that's where the genesis came for the second book, Charting Change. And really, innovation is all about change. So that's how the two topic areas start to connect. And yeah, so it's been a journey, but I've always been looking for opportunities to help people create and accelerate their capabilities. And yeah, and one of my big key focuses has always been to help make innovation insights accessible for the greater good. And so I built and sold a website called innovationexcellence.com. And now I've restarted a new multiple author blog that we're up over 1,000 articles now, that lives on my website, and provides exposure to a lot of great talented authors. And yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Well, hey, it sounds like you're helping an awful lot of people make positive changes, and helping people create fruitful teams is important in this remote culture. So I appreciate that. What is something that you would like to be celebrating personally or professionally 1 year from now?
Wow. Well, I have a daughter getting ready to go off to college, and so a year from now, I'd love to be hearing that she's had a successful first year, wherever that might be. She's got a lot of opportunity and a lot of interesting schools that she's applying to, and so we'll see which one makes her the best offer. Uh, so hint, hint. And yeah, and then professionally, have a new set of tools that I've been working on that comes together in a methodology called FutureHacking, and it's really a set of tools focused on futurology and helping people through art and science get to the future first. And so I'm hoping to successfully launch that in this year, 2023. And so that would be another thing I'd be hoping to celebrate, is that lots of people are using those tools and getting a lot of value out of them to help them think through how to get to the future before their competitors.
Excellent. Well, Braden Kelley, please tell us your URL, where people can find you, where they can buy your books, and what social media channels you're using these days.
Sure. So people can find me at bradenkelley.com. Just put my two names together and throw a .com on the end there. Should see my name in the little box here somewhere. And then my books are for sale on my publisher's website, on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, any prominent bookseller. They're also in many libraries around the United States. And then in terms of social media, I'm fairly active on Twitter as @Innovate. On Instagram, I pretty much just publish quote posters, and that is I'm Mr. Innovation with Mr. spelled out. And then yeah, I mean, on LinkedIn, it's linkedin.com/in/my name, Braden Kelley, if you want to connect or follow along.
Excellent. Braden Kelley, author of Charting Change and Stoking Your Innovation Bonfire. Thank you for spending some time with us here on Business Ninjas. I appreciate it.
So hey, keep those what do they call them? Shuriken sharp, and your sword at the ready.
I actually had shurikens about 40 years ago, but that's a whole other rabbit hole right there. I got in plenty of trouble for having them too. Well, listen, I wish you and yours the best, and it can only help more people for you to get your word out, because you can help people make positive changes in their life and help their companies be fertile and grow, right?
Yeah, and thank you, Andy, for the conversation. Really enjoyed it, and you can as well, I'm sure, with everything that you do. So
Well, thank you.
all the best for you in the new year too.